great as eggs and all that stuff. That's fun. So today I thought it would be fun to show you how I do my mom's world famous deviled eggs. Easter coming up, I know there'll be a lot of deviled eggs. Very easy, very simple, and this recipe is really interesting because there's no relish in it. She never put relish in her deviled eggs. So it's a quick, easy, fast deviled egg recipe. So what I've got here is my mayo, my mustard, my garlic powder, and paprika to go on top. That's the little pretty speckled reddish orange color at the top of my eggs. I've got my eggs that I've already boiled. I've already hard boiled them, and real simple, right? I actually am going to put on here all the details of doing that because we take it for granted. We know how to do it. A lot of, moms, wives know how to do it. And a lot of new wives or moms, they may not know how to do this kind of stuff because they've never done it before. Not everybody knows everything. And sometimes they watch people do it, but then they miss a step and they don't realize how that person did it. So I remember making a lot of phone calls like, how did you do this, Mom? How did you do that? So hard-boiled eggs, all my ingredients. Save this because when you boil your eggs and you're getting them cool, because you don't want to peel them when they're hot, right? Scalding hot right out of the pot. You're going to place them back in this container so that way they're nice and stable. For Easter, sometimes I can do 2 of 1.5 dozen, okay? And that's times 2 because I cut them in half, right, to make the eggs, the deviled eggs. So keep the cartons because you're going to put them back in there and pop them in the fridge so they cool. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is take your eggs and put them in a pot with some water, halfway full. And then you're going to turn your dial up. I put it on high. You're going to let them boil. When they come to a boil for a few minutes, you're just going to shut the burner off and let them sit. Take your pot lid, put them over your eggs, and just let them sit for a while. 20 minutes is good. Okay, so now my eggs have been sitting for a while. Just get off that excess water in there. And then I'm going to take my pot. You can still see all that lovely steam. Steaming up my camera. Save your container that your eggs came in. They're going to be a little bit hot in the beginning. If you need some gloves, get some gloves. These cute little gloves at my local grocery store. So you can just pick them up and you're just going to put them right back in your container. Also guys, if you're not going to be letting them, sitting on the counter for a while to cool, then just close them up, pop these babies right in your fridge. Items that I use, of course, is a bowl. I'm going to use just a regular butter knife to cut them in half after they're peeled. I'm going to use a fork to actually press them on the sides of the bowl. And this is to scoop them out a spoon. Real super simple. Here's my cute little trays I've had forever. This one is just a little sweet little chick that's got the egg around it, and you can place them in that. This one I actually got from Cracker Barrel years ago. Look at that. And it's like a painter's palette. I love it, love it, love it. And then this one is awesome. This is the Lennox Butterfly Meadow collection. They have been making this pattern forever, okay? They're still making it. It's that popular. And it's this beautiful butterfly. And inside you can place all of your eggs, okay? Timeless. I have a ton of Lennox in my home. It's just beautiful. So this is the Butterfly Meadow by Lennox. You can see right there. Make sure you get the stamp on that. You don't want something counterfeit, okay? I would go to lennox.com and look for their deals. They have deals all the time. It's awesome. And to make sure you're actually getting Lennox, right? Because you want to make sure with more pricier name brand items that you get the real deal and you're not being taken advantage of or screwed, right? Because nobody wants that. Okay, so speaking of screwed, today I'm going to talk about divorce. Divorce is a horrible, horrible, nasty, evil demon, in my opinion. And how do I know that? Because I've been through one. When I was really young, I was married to somebody and they were abusive. I saw signs and red flags in the beginning, but I ignored them because I was scared at the time. I had gone to my female doctor, they found some abnormal cells and didn't know if I was facing cancer or not, which thank God I was not. I did not have cancer. So I was very scared. I was young. I was about 22, 23 years old. My insurance was about to run out with my parents. I was just getting ready to become a teacher and there was a gap and I didn't have insurance yet. So I was afraid that I wasn't going to be medically protected. And my doctor said, don't worry about any of that. I will take care of you and you will have the best health care. He was amazing. Absolute amazing doctor. He's not in this state. He's back in Nevada, in Las Vegas where we lived. So turns out I didn't have cancer. Also at the time, 9/11 hit. 9/11 happened when we were dating. He was in the military and I didn't know if he was going to be deployed or not. We didn't know what was going to happen. So between the fear of being sick with no insurance and the fear of 9/11 and what was going to happen to him, we decided to get married. I don't actually know if I was ever truly in love with him. I don't think I was. I think I thought I was, but I wasn't, right? Because we all know if we've been in love, we know the difference. By the way, just flip my egg in half. And I'm gonna put my yolk right here in the bowl. That's what I'm gonna be doing while I'm talking to you about divorce, okay? I'm gonna be popping my yolks in the bowl. So we end up getting married. And of course, when you get married, you think you're gonna live happily ever after, and it was a nightmare from hell. People say I was really brave to get out of this marriage. It was verbally, emotionally, and physically abusive. He was. I thought that it was going to last forever because that's what you do when you get married, right? You think it's going to be forever. Well, it wasn't forever. It was for 6 months. And people say, oh my gosh, you're so brave. And I always used to tell them, I'm not brave. I just don't want to be a Lifetime movie. I'm not going out like that, okay? So the last time that he hit me, I had a softball size bruise right here. Okay, my mother was mortified. I never told my father. It's just a really bad situation. I know what divorce feels like. So I finally decided that I was going to go back home and get my life together, get my own place, of course, because we had a house together on base. And decided this was finished. So went ahead, got the divorce, went home. When I made the decision to finally leave him, like that night, and I went back to my parents' house and I had packed up everything, I had my first panic attack. I didn't know what it was. I was like, what the heck is this? I had never had a panic attack before. Like, the most stressful in my life was what am I wearing on Friday night? What am I wearing on Saturday night? How am I getting my nails did? That was my stress. So I didn't understand what it was, and my parents said, you're having a panic attack. So I calmed down. I took the next day off from school because I was had a long-term assignment before I was actually put on as a contract teacher. Right, I'd already graduated college. I was done. And it was a really scary time for me. And I'm sure a lot of you, no matter how old you are, whether you have kids or not, I didn't have any children at the time. We had no children together. It's really horrifying to go through a divorce. It's scary, whether you have a booming career or you're just starting out like I was with no career, basically. Even though I had the degree, I hadn't been hired yet. I know what that feels like. I know it's a horrendous amount of, why the hell did I marry him? I don't know why. You know, they say love makes you do crazy things. Well, sometimes desperation makes you do crazy things. And fear makes you do crazy things. and I got really scared. So, you know, long story short, you live and you learn. I was embarrassed, and here's what the devil told me. 23 years old, had a pretty decent body, pretty decent face. This is what the enemy told me. You're not good enough. Nobody's going to want you. Nobody's going to think you're attractive, especially because now you're divorced. No man wants a divorced woman. Now, at the time, I'm 23 years old, guys. 22, 23. Telling me nobody's going to want you because you're divorced. In our society today, divorce is still horrific, but it's kind of mainstream now. And that's what the enemy had me convinced. No one's going to want to date you, touch you, let alone ever marry you again because you've been divorced. So don't think that it's just because you're older, or maybe you don't look the same, or you don't have the same weight, or you have kids and now no one's going to want you. That's a lie from the devil. He told me at 22, 23 years old, nobody's going to want you. He didn't use the word old per se, maybe that exact word, but he did tell me nobody's going to want you because you're divorced. Who's going to want somebody who's divorced? You're so young. You're already divorced? What's wrong with you? Well, you know, I had some things wrong with me. I was a hothead. I still am. I had an Italian temper. He couldn't handle it. We were fire and fire. So when I made the decision that my husband was the one, right, and he made the decision I was the one, I'm still fire and he's ice. Fire married fire. So what happens? You have more of an explosion. And that was us. So I don't completely blame him. I know how to push buttons and I did it, but it is never okay to hit. It's not okay to hit a man, and it's certainly not okay to hit a woman. So the enemy had me believing all these lies. And then I went out and I dated again, and I was starting to date again. And I'm like, okay, the first thing I got to tell you, like whoever it was I dated at the time, I'm like, okay, I got to tell you I'm divorced. They're like, uh-huh. I'm like, no, I'm divorced. They're like, got it. Heard you the first time. What's the big deal? And I'm like, you're not like freaked. They're like, no. I said, okay, he was abusive. They're like, yeah, okay, great. You left an abusive relationship. Good for you. You're ready to go to Starbucks? Like, he didn't care. And then I dated another guy. And I was like, okay, I got to tell you first, I'm divorced. Because remember, I'm still believing the lies. I'm divorced. And he was like, okay. He's like, well, I'm divorced too. I'm like, what? You're like 27. You're already divorced. He's like, yeah, you're like 23. You're already divorced. So what? So he's like, let's go to Starbucks. So that we went to Starbucks. You know, they didn't care. So I met my husband. And I said, hey, I just want to let you know, because by this time I'm kind of getting out of the lie, but I'm still a little bit hooked on that line, because it got me on that reel that I allowed myself to stay on, by the way. I said, I just got to let you know I'm divorced. He's like, yeah, I've been married twice. I'm divorced twice. I was like, okay. And then by that time, it was pretty much over. He's like, yeah, I got married really young. She cheated. We were babies, like literally out of high school. And then the second one had issues. And I said, yeah, he was abusive. And so I ended it. So you're telling yourself stuff that doesn't apply to you. It doesn't apply to any of you. And he's telling you, you're too old. You're too young to be divorced. You're too fat. You're too skinny. You're too smart. You're too dumb. All these lies. You're perfect just the way you are. And if you're going through a divorce, or you know it's coming, because I feel like some of you are feeling that it's coming, I'm so sorry that it's happening. There are very few times in the Bible where God says he hates something. He literally says, I hate divorce. When he puts that union together, then he wants it to last forever in his name. Well, if you're not equally yoked, well, so what does that mean? You have a non-believer who walks in his own path, in his own direction. And you have a believer who kind of walks her own path, but walks God's, and then kind of does her own thing, but still over here with Jesus. Because I wasn't perfect and I didn't know what I know now, and I didn't have that growth that I have now, or that walk with him. Then you are going to crumble, right? Because what does it say in the Bible? A house divided will fall. And that's what happened with my family, not just me, but with my mom and dad, and I'll get into that another age session. So, I know the pain of it, the sorrow, the guilt. You don't have to carry it anymore. If you're going through it, I'm really sorry. If you're still holding on to it, what's done is done. You know, if he had an affair, maybe there's men watching this, if she had an affair, it's already done. I feel that there's two reasons for divorce. One is a serious abuse, whether it be emotional, psychological, or physical abuse. And the second thing was infidelity. If you cheat, okay, if you're gonna put your wee-wee in something else, or you're gonna open up your vajayjay to something else, that's grounds for divorce in my mind. You don't like where you're at, then get a divorce and go date. Don't have an affair. If you're having an affair, cut the affair off today. Be done with it. I'm gonna go check on a baby. I'm gonna be right back. Okay. We had one child hit another child, so I had to go handle that. A lot of times I want to talk with you, but if you're having an affair, I'm talking at you. End it now. You know why the grass is greener? There's more shit on it. You know why it's so exciting? It's because it's not your husband, it's not your wife. You know how it happened? You didn't plan it, right? You didn't plan it to happen, and I believe that. I believe that you didn't plan it. When you leave yourself open to it, hanging out the water cooler with him, complimenting him, he's complimenting you, maybe you carpool, maybe you hang out a little too much at church. Yeah, guess what? Christians at church, they have affairs. Yeah, I know, big spoiler alert. Maybe you hang out and get the mail and you see each other. Don't do that. My husband and I have a policy. We don't talk to the opposite sex unless it's something business related, and we do not have anything to do with the opposite sex inside of our vehicle. When my husband has to go out or something or see clients, he does not allow a female in that car with him under any circumstance, anytime. Something could happen. We both know that. We're human beings. When they say, I didn't plan it to happen, we didn't mean for this to happen. I believe that. But there's little tiny doors you're leaving open. And that's where it creeps in. I don't think anyone sets out to say, yeah, the guy across the street over there, yeah, I'm gonna go get him. I'm gonna wreck that life and family, and I'm gonna wreck this family, and we're gonna be together. It doesn't start out that way, but then it blossoms into that. I'm telling you, it's gonna kill you in the end. And it's devastating to your children. Even if they don't blame you later, or you have a crappy marriage, or they say, you know what, I can see why she did that, or why he did that. It still doesn't make it okay. And also, a lot of children are very scarred by it. Even when they're older and things happen with their parents, it's still very hurtful. Even when they're adults like I was, right? It was horrifying to see that happen. It was a horrible time. So I did want to put that in there in the middle of all this, the middle of the awesome deviled eggs tutorial. I wanted to talk about that in divorce. And I just wanted to say, you know, on behalf of another divorcee in front of you, I'm really sorry that you had to go through it, or that you're about to go through it, or you're in it right now. It really sucks. I do want you to know this. Children are only going to know and see and remember love. So don't fight in front of them, and don't talk about your ex-husband or ex-wife in front of your babies ever. And if you want to cuss them out, go sit in your car and cuss them out. Do it when you're in the parking lot at Walgreens and cuss them out. Don't do it in front of your babies. That's detrimental, that's scarring, and that's on your ass if you do that in front of those children, okay? Whatever they're doing is on them. Whatever you're doing or did is on you. But don't you expose those babies to that. They don't need to hear about your bullshit. They don't need to hear about what's going on, even if it's not your fault, okay? None of that. Do not talk about their father. Do not talk about their mother. Now, you don't have to praise them and say, oh, daddy's the best thing since sliced bread, but that's not what you do. Don't do it. Okay, now back to our eggs. I've got all of mine in here, right? So I'm gonna smush them. I'm just gonna smush them up against the sides of the bowl. I go into every little detail because some people don't know how to do this stuff. We take this for granted. We're old, right? This is old hat for us. We've been doing this forever. How many thousands of eggs have I made? But for somebody out there who's new, who's doing it, you know, maybe there's a guy out there, he's like, wants to surprise his family or girlfriend, and she likes deviled eggs, and he's never done it before. So that's why I go into a lot of detail. So funny, I'm seeing spots because it's so bright in front of me, so it looks like there's all these like green and yellow spots in here, even though it's kind of green and yellow in here. It's funny though. Guess that's what stars feel like. How do stars do that? I don't know how their eyes They must have a lot of headaches because that paparazzi is right up in the grill. I don't get it. Maybe they have some kind of trick or eye drops they put in or something. Because I don't know how these people do it. Okay, timer went off, so that baby's out of timeout jail, so hold on. So, it's a pretty fine, I want you really to see this. It's a pretty fine consistency. See that? That's what you want. You don't want any chunks or clumps. I can't tell you how many eggs I've had at barbecues, parties, whatever events, and there's chunks in it. It's like if you can't take the time to smoosh it up properly, don't make a deviled egg. Please don't do it, okay? Do not go there. So, I got this all smooshed up. Smooshy, smooshy, smooshy. Another thing about divorce is God's got a plan for you. I don't know what it is, but it's good. And it's plans to give you a hope. And I know it may seem hopeless, but it's not. And if you got assets, God love you, because that's going to be a fight. More than just middle class assets. I'm talking serious assets. And that's a whole ball of wax in itself. And you know what? It's going to pass. Like that one housewife says that's in all that trouble because her husband absconded with funds from his law firm. You know what she said? One day this will all be behind me, and I'll know who my friends were. And that's the truth. One day you're going to look back. This is going to be behind you. It was a chapter in your life. It's not the whole book. Okay? All right. So this looks good. We're good with that. Now we're going to start with our ingredients. I don't measure. My mom didn't measure unless she was baking. Now, yes, she wrote everything down beautifully, meticulously on a note card. Great stuff. But really, when it came down to it at the end, she would taste it and then she would adjust it. So, I'm going to start out. There's a teaspoon, right? Just a regular coffee teaspoon. I'm going to start out with about 3 probably heaping spoonfuls. I like to have it very creamy, very smooth, okay? So that's what we're going to start out for our mayo. Then, same with the mustard. If I had to guess, this is probably 3/4 of a cup. Probably. Same with the mustard. I just kind of zhuzh it around. I watched her. So I don't have an exact measurement, but I'm going to try to pinpoint it down for you. So I'm putting, see a little drizzle in there, a little bit more drizzle, okay? Probably, if I had to measure it out, probably a tablespoon, a good tablespoon right now, mustard's in there. You can adjust it as you go. That's the great thing about cooking, right? Except with salt. You don't want to jack with salt. Can't take it out. It's hard, hard, hard to fix a recipe with salt. So just make sure that you get that in there, stir it up a little bit. And then what I do is I take a tiny bit of garlic powder. You don't want to put too much in here. You just want a little garlicky flavor. Just a little oomph. That's all you want. You don't want to overpower it. It's not garlic eggs, guys. Okay? That's not what this is. So you take your garlic powder and you just sprinkle a little bit on there. So I'm thinking that probably was half a teaspoon. Start with that. Remember, what you like isn't necessarily what everybody else likes. Now, when you're doing your own decor and your makeup and you're dressing yourself and all that, yeah, you do what you want, girl. But when you're making for a crowd like this, you want to make sure that you're thinking about everybody else, right? I'm not talking dietary restrictions. I'm talking about level of taste. My bestie, her fam, they love a ton of garlic. My husband probably could use a little more garlic. But we don't eat as much as them, so I don't put as much in. And I'm thinking about everybody else, right? So you always think about everybody else. And so does she, by the way. She's very considerate when it comes to her gatherings. She makes sure that she thinks about everybody and what they like. And she never puts in a ton of garlic, so I don't have dirt burps. Which is a funny story, because we went on vacation. We met them when they lived in Colorado. They used to live there. And there was some dish she made and had a ton of garlic, and I'm like, girl, I got dirt burp. She goes, what the hell's a dirt burp? I said, I don't know, but when I burp, it's like garlic, and it kind of tastes like dirt. And I don't even really know what dirt tastes like, because I don't eat dirt, but it was a dirt burp. So since then, she's so sweet. She's so precious in every way, by the way, and she's badass. She says now, okay, you know, she used to say, now she doesn't have to say it. I didn't put a lot of garlic in there, no dirt burps. There it is. It's nice and smooth and creamy. You see that? It's real pretty. Nice, like a thick, almost like a thick frosting. and it's smooth and it looks great. That was it, guys. Teeny bit of garlic, some mayo, and some mustard. I'm gonna taste it, see how it is. Kind of flat. What does that mean? There's not enough oomph, there's not enough zing in it. Not enough of that spice per se, okay? That's why I'm gonna add a little bit more mustard. So I'm gonna add probably maybe another half a teaspoon of mustard in there. A little bit, guys. Only do a little bit at a time. Okay, so got that puppy going. Okay, let me see how that tastes. Mo better. That's it. That's what I wanted. Plenty creamy, plenty of garlic, and now we got the perfect amount of mustard, y'all. So there it is. Now, I'm gonna just pop my eggs, right, my halves, on my little plates. So I'm just gonna put them there and I'm just gonna lay them out. Real simple. Okay, so notice I didn't consciously do this. So subconsciously, I want them all the same direction, right? Because I like that. I like it to all be, you know me, even Steven. So I like it to all be in the same direction. The two in the middle, I did opposite directions. I don't know, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter, but anyway, I put the fat part of the yolk, right, which is the top part, facing down. That's what I did with all of them. So, you know, it doesn't really matter. It's just me. So same thing here. Now, I'm probably not going to use my Lennox one because, well, you know what? I will use my Lennox one. Why not? It's Easter 2022, right? We've all been through a lot. Let's use the Purdy one. So I'm going to pop them in here, same direction. Even my puppy, right? Even our dogs love these. Everybody loves them. So if there's not enough, like if it's not enough like that, you know, that's okay. You know, say you just did a little and you want to wear a pretty thing. I saw on TikTok today, why does everybody always ask somebody why they look good when they go outside? It's like, psh, I'm going to the mailbox like this. I'm all dressed up. I'm going to get my mail. So if you are sitting around the house and you want to make 5 deviled eggs and put them on your fancy old Lennox plate, have at it. So I put them in here, lay them down. Everything's good to go. And now I just start spooning them in. You can pipe them in. I pipe them in. They're beautiful, but the paprika kind of hides the piping. So I'm like, well, what's really the point? Why do I want to do all that? Spend all that time, and then you got to clean out the stupid little accordion piper thing. I'm like, oh no, I don't want to do that. So I just take little dollops of it, right? Everything with clean hands, of course. You can wear gloves. This is for me and my husband, guys. I'm not going to give this out to strangers. Not having a big party where everyone's inviting their aunt over. It's just me and him. So I just put a little dollop on each one. So I'm putting about that much of a dollop on each one. And guess what? If you have extra left over, that's great. You go back and you just put it right back on top. Had to grab a spatula. Okay. That was that simple. Now I have one that's right here. It's a little sparse. You can just add a little bit more. That's it. Just get all that out. Don't leave anything behind. Leave no man behind. Okay? Ever. Just like the battlefield, it's that way in the kitchen. You never leave anything in that bowl. I can't stand when I watch kitchen shows or tutorials and they have a quarter of the product still in there. It's like, don't even bother. No, 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 no. We don't want to do that, right? I feel like Shanae. No, 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 no. Shanae from Martin. I love Martin. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. Nope. Do not waste a drop. Do not waste a scoop. Do not waste a swipe. You get it all in there. Okay. So now that it's there, all done, put our bowl aside. Actually, I'm gonna get this out of the way. And now's the fun part. Clean this up a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna take our paprika. I like to use smoked paprika. My favorite is Hungarian smoked paprika. I need to order some from Amazon. I cannot get it in the store. Excuse me, I need to find it online and get it because I'm out of it. But I do have smoked paprika from our grocery store. It's not the same. It's good, but it's not the same. You want smoked. Smoked is way better than just regular paprika. Smoked paprika is mild, but it's got a lovely, lovely flavor. It does not add a smokiness to your stuff. Some people don't like smoked. Most people do, some people don't. It adds a beautiful finish to it. It makes it really pretty, and my mom was all about the pretty, without overpowering it. And it just gives it this lovely little garnish on top, right? And it looks so fancy, like it was so difficult. And it's not, right? You're just sprinkling stuff. So you're just gonna sprinkle a little light dusting. It doesn't matter if it gets on the platter, who cares, right? It's just pretty. And I'm telling you, I set these out, and like I said, I do 2 of these. These are 1.5 dozen each. I do 2 of these sometimes, depending on how much family we have for Easter. And I'm telling you, it is gone. I'm lucky. I am lucky to get a couple left for the fridge for the next day. They gobble them up. It's just mayo, mustard, garlic powder. Everybody asks me for the recipe. Everybody always wants it. And it's as simple as pie. You can't get any easier than this, right? They're amazing. Here's one right here to show you how pretty. Look at that. Just beautiful, right? And they're so delicious. Ooh, I've been craving them too. Never gets old. Foolproof. First time proof. You have any additional questions, ask me below. Don't forget to subscribe, guys. Tell all your friends and family about it. And don't forget to push the like button. Apparently that's a big thing. And don't forget to push that notification bell so you can find out when I have another tutorial, another video. Who knows what's next? I don't even know what's next. But I just want to let you know, if you are going through a divorce, number 1, I'm really sorry. Number 2, you can hold your head up high and know that God definitely has a plan for you, and I don't know what that is, but He does. It's all going to be okay. One way or another, it's going to be okay. There are brighter days coming, and one day it's going to be like that housewife said. This will be in my past. It'll be a blip on the radar. Okay? I love you guys. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. Mwah. Hi guys, thank you all for tuning into my channel, Guide with Netter. I really appreciate all of you and love you. So please subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and push that notification bell so you can be the first to know when I have a new post. And please press the like button. Thank you all so much for your love and support. Love you guys.